I wanted to talk today about the Wheel of Fortune because, let's be honest, it is a weird card and it's complex. There's so much in there. And I thought that I would just also use this chance to remind you that I have 2 tarot books currently on Amazon and a book on the Scandinavian runes as well. So let's have a look at this. First of all, we have these 4 strange figures reading books in the corner. They are very similar to the 4 figures in the corner of the world, and they refer to Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, and they can also be translated into the 4 elements of earth, air, fire and water, thus of course linking to the minor arcana and the elements of manifestation. So that's those. We have here quite a lot of Egyptian references. I've studied some Egyptian mythology to help me to understand tarot, but it is not my area of interest. That is most definitely the Norse mythology. To me here, we just have this idea of what goes up must come down. If you are a fan of Philippa Gregory, she uses this very much in some of her books as well. I think it's possibly Lady of Rivers, but this idea the wheel keeps turning, and it's true. The one thing we can guarantee about life is it will change, and that what is up one day will be down the next. The Sphinx fascinates me, particularly the fact that we have this sword crossing almost as a barrier here. Now, the sword, both in tarot and interestingly in Norse mythology, can connect to words, wisdom and logic. And when I thought about Sphinxes, words, wisdom and logic, and you're going to have to excuse me because my knowledge is not particularly good on this, so I am retelling a tale rather than sharing information that I deeply understand. But it really made me think about Odysseus and this idea that it was prophesied that he would marry his mother. So obviously he started on a grand journey to avoid that prophecy coming true. He ends up in a far city. There is a Sphinx guarding the way, and the Sphinx asks him a riddle and says basically, if you answer the riddle correctly, then you can marry the queen, and if you don't answer the riddle correctly, then you will die. If memory serves me correct, the riddle is what has 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at midday, and 3 legs in the evening. I do know the answer, but I'll drop it in the comments just in case you don't want to hear it here. Odysseus correctly answered the riddle and married the queen, who was, as I'm sure you can guess, his mother. This really sparked an interest with me, the idea of riddles and fate. And if you know my interest in Norse mythology, then you may know exactly where my mind went. To the ring and Bilbo and the finding of the ring of power. And there was a war of riddles with, if I, again, dragging my mind way back, the last riddle being, what do I have in my pocket? And to me, this with the Sphinx sat on the top of this wheel that goes round and round, so that those that are winning one day will lose the next, and no luck stays unchanged. You can't riddle your way out of fate. There are some universal laws, one of them being nothing remains unchanged, that you can't outwit, you can't outcalculate, you can't outthink. It's a universal law. And that's what I think of when I see the Sphinx. I'm less interested in occult magic than I am in the practical application of tarot to help our daily life. If you've ever had a tarot reading with me, you'll find that I like to be practical. As a shaman who happens to read cards, actually most of my intuition just flows anyway directly from my guides. So I study the symbolism of the cards because it gives me greater wisdom when I read, not because I need it. So I have looked at these symbols, but I haven't got a great deal of knowledge about them. My understanding is that Torah means the law, and of course we can find the word Torah in the High Priestess. That it also can refer to rota, meaning wheel in Latin. We have Hebrew symbols here. We have symbols of alchemy here. It is an enriched, symbol-heavy card. And if occult magic and symbolism is your thing, then this is definitely the card to go for. We also have the 8 points here, 8 points of the compass, basically, or the eightfold year if you work with a pagan wheel of the year. Unfortunately, my Nordic system only has 6. We don't celebrate the equinoxes, but most are going to celebrate the eightfold year. When I first started working with the cards, one of the things that I did, when I very first started working with the cards, it would have been 2003. I know that specifically because I was pregnant in Orkney. I had been focusing my life on martial arts and deep shamanic practices, and if I'm honest, a lot of drinking. And suddenly, being pregnant, none of those were open to me. I lived on a very small island. We had no electric and not a lot. And what I did find was a deck of Rider-Waite cards and Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom. We didn't have internet, obviously. And so one of the things that I would do is sit with a card and just gaze at it, make some notes, gaze at it some more, and really sit with it. And I will always remember sitting with this card, because what I did was I sat with the card before reading what Rachel Pollack had to say about the card. And as I sat with it, I felt slightly ill. Now, living on an island, we spent a lot of time on ferries. It comes with the lifestyle. And I felt seasick. And I thought, yeah, I'm really feeling the movement of the wheel. And I'm really feeling that life is always changing. And that however much in control we might like to think we are, we're really not. We're always making the best of what we've got at any one given time. And the more I looked at it and the more I looked at it, my eye was drawn to the very centre. To the centre of the wheel, to the centre of the wheel, to the centre of the wheel, to the centre of the wheel. And before I got into the Nordic stuff, I was enjoying Druidry. And in Druidry, I was taught a lot about sacred space and finding the still inner space. There's a word for it which I'm not going to say because I'm probably going to get it wrong and I don't want to. But that inner space, that divine central spot that we all have. And if you want to find that, the best thing to do is to sit with your feet flat on the floor and your spine upright and your crown to the sky or the ceiling, and to become your own axis mundi, your own sacred center spot. And then to breathe in from the soles of your feet and allow the energy to rise. And when you breathe out, just let go. And then when you breathe in from the crown chakra. Envisage yourself pulling in that sky energy, and then when you breathe out, just let go. Because when we think about swords, don't forget the 8, the 9, the 10. If we focus too much on this, we're going to become trapped by it. If we focus too much on this, why? We can't control it. There are laws of fate, there are universal laws. Often our daily life is impacted by other people's choices. We can't control that. It's about coming to that still centre spot where you are you, and you are always you. And you can connect to who you always have been and who you always will be, where you connect in however best suits you with your divine. Because however fast this moves, and however beguiling riddling your way out of fate may be, there is always a still centre spot for all of us.